What's up guys, TechTitan here, and I am back again with a brand new video. So before I begin this video, as always, I want to thank you all so much for watching this one. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. I'll really greatly appreciate it. Also, I'll leave my social media links in the description below. With that being said, let's get started with today's video. So today I'm going to be doing a review on the Samsung Galaxy J7 2018, or as they would like to call it, the Galaxy J7 Refine. And the name actually is kind of perfect because this is a refined version of the last year's Galaxy J7. So I will also be doing a comparison between last year's J7 and this year's. So let's start by talking about the design. So this design, like I said before, it is a refined version of the last year's J7. And the bezels stay the same. They're not really shrinking down, and it's not really using that 18:9 aspect ratio that kind of budget phones are making the move to. But I mean, it's still a decent. And also, one of the disappointing things I gotta say about it is that it is only 720p. But let me tell you this, I don't think any other company knows how to do panels like Samsung. It is only 720p on a huge 5.5-inch screen, but the quality of the panel is actually kind of really good. Even though it is, like I said, 720p, which is, in my opinion, for a phone that is priced this high in a world where there are phones priced lower, have 1080p or higher displays, I don't know. The display is kind of disappointing. So it is made out of plastic throughout, and the plastic on the back does have this subtle curve to help with the grip, because if it was just flat, it would really be slippery. Not to say that this is not a slippery phone. It is a little bit slippery, but not that much. And the back looks really clean. It's very minimalistic. You can only see the camera cutout, but other than that, and of course the labels and the Samsung logo, but other than that, it's a really clean back. If you guys remember from last year, it did have this plastic strip on the back, which at first it was kind of a throw off, but it kind of grew up on me. But yeah, overall the design of the back is really clean. So on the right hand side, you do have your power button as well as your weirdly shaped speaker, and on the bottom you also have your micro USB and a headphone jack. Now the headphone jack is a really great thing to see in 2018, but the micro USB, I don't know, that's kind of disappointing. The move in 2018 should have been the USB-C, but hey, that's what Samsung decided to do. And you also get a microphone on the bottom. So the back, the camera is a 13 megapixel camera with a LED flash, and we'll cover that in a little bit. And the front camera is also a high resolution 13 megapixel camera, and I'll also talk about that. You also get your earpiece as well as the Samsung logo. And on the bottom you have your home button, your back, and your multitasking button. Now the home button does not have a fingerprint, unfortunately, but they do claim to have a face scanning using that 13 megapixel camera. I'm not really a big fan of facial scanning yet, especially on Android phones. I don't know, it's not as reliable to me as a fingerprint sensor. Again, not yet. So yeah, I mean, we talked about display, we talked about the overall design. Let me cover up a little bit on the battery life. Now the battery life on this phone is actually fantastic. It easily goes through a full day, and even a day after if it's charged at 100%. Of course, this depends on your usage, but overall the battery life is fantastic in my usage. Now, there's something that I have complained about. This phone does not really support fast charging, so charging it will take a little bit longer than usual. So yeah, keep that in mind. In terms of specs, this does come with 32 gigabytes of storage, 2 gigabytes of RAM, a 1.6 gigahertz octa-core processor, and in my opinion, this phone is probably the best performing budget phone that I have reviewed. And honestly, opening and closing apps is really quick. So the phone app, the contacts, I mean, you guys see this for your eyes. The messaging, even the camera, I mean, it took a little second. But yeah, I mean, you get the point. Overall, this is a really fast phone. Okay, so let's load up a website real quick. Alright. So theverge.com, 3, 2, 1. Okay, keep in mind that I am using my Wi-Fi. Okay. So scrolling, zoom, pinching the zoom and all that, I mean, it's really snappy. So for the everyday life, this phone performs like a champ and like it should be. Now, in terms of gaming, it's actually also pretty good. Not the best, you're gonna experience drop frames if you play heavy demanding games, but overall, it's a really good phone for gaming. In the budget world, of course. Now, let me talk about the camera and the picture quality. So, the camera interface, first of all. The camera interface still follows that Samsung camera interface. You have your shutter button, your record button, and you also get Bixby Vision. Now, if you're into that, cool. If not, if you're not into that like me, hey, you still get an option. And you also get your stickers. You have your settings. So in the settings, you have a couple of options. You can use so you can control the picture size. You have the 4x3, 13 megapixel, 8 megapixel, 4x3, or you can use the 9.6 megapixel, 16:9, etc. You get the point. Okay. And the video size, it does shoot at full HD 1080p, but you have the ability so you also have the ability to change that in if you want it 1 by 1 1072 by 1072, if you want it 720p, or you can even go all the way down to 480p. Not recommended, but hey, you get the option. And I mean, the settings is kind of packed, but not really. It doesn't really provide a pro mode, but hey, this is a budget camera. I don't think a pro mode would help it take spectacular images. And you can also have a full view or a shortened view. And this is your switch to the front-facing camera. Now let's talk about the picture quality. So let's start with this picture of the sky. Now, dynamic range, this is really a test of dynamic range, and it's pretty decent, not really great. If you zoom in on the billboard, you can see that it's kind of dark and it doesn't really show very good detail. But I mean, hey, that's expected for a budget phone. Now, in this next picture, I was really trying to test sharpness, and it's decently sharp. It's not the best. It does tend to favor sharpness, so it's really decent. And this is basically kind of I don't know, I want to test it in low light. And it does have little grain, but overall it's pretty decent. So the camera quality is a little bit better than last year's, but not by much. They did do a pretty decent job with the camera, and for everyday life, this is very usable. Okay, the front-facing camera is also pretty good. I'm not really a selfie person, but if you are into that type of stuff, one thing that I do want to recommend is that when you first open up the selfie camera, the beauty mode is turned on, and I really don't like it. It's very unnatural, and it does give you this soft look. Also, on my eyes, it does kind of look cartoony, so I would turn it off if you want to take selfies. Okay, so one other thing that I wanted to cover up is the speaker quality. So let's quickly watch a video, and I'll let you hear what the speaker sounds like. So the speaker is located right next to the power button, which is up here, and it's kind of easy to cover up if you hold your phone like this, but if you just hold it like something like this, then you should be fine. Okay, so as loud as it can go. 3, 2, 1.
Alright, what's up guys, I'm PhD here, and welcome to a new...
So you can really block out the speaker by just putting your finger up there. Okay, so that's really that for the speaker. And here's what I have to say about the speaker. The speaker is actually really surprisingly good. Now, it's not front-facing, but it's as close to front-facing as you will get. Just be careful not to block it, because if you do, the sound quality will suffer a lot, as you guys heard. Okay, so my final verdict is this. It's kind of hard to recommend this phone, honestly, unless you're a die-hard Samsung fan and you don't like LG or Motorola or any other brand, and you still want a budget phone, then yeah, I would go ahead and go for it. In terms of specs, this is really where this phone shines above other budget phones. It's really fast, it's really snappy, and for that, I would recommend it if you're just looking for something that is plain out speed. But to me personally, I wouldn't necessarily pick it over the LG Stylo 4. In terms of design, this phone is just kind of an S model, if you get what I mean, from last year's generation. It's not really an overhaul. It doesn't really support the 18:9 aspect ratio. It doesn't have a fingerprint sensor. It still uses micro USB. The display is only 720p. I don't know. It's kind of hard to recommend unless, like I said, you care about specs or you're a die-hard Samsung fan. And even if you do care about specs, the LG Stylo 4 does also have pretty decent specs. It's not as fast as this phone, and the speaker on it is really bad compared to the speaker on this phone. but overall as a package, as an experience, that 18:9 aspect ratio display has really grown on me, and I really would love to see it on other phones, especially from a manufacturer like Samsung. I think they would have been able to pull it off. I'm not sure why they didn't. So yeah, overall that's really my thought. That's really my thought process on this phone. If you guys have any suggestions or any additions that you want to talk to me about, leave them in the description. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching this one. If you enjoyed it,